everybody. Welcome back to Lady Loves Said Reads. We are here today for the Middle Grade Appreciation Book Club. And we're here to discuss our first book of club, which is Starfish by Lisa Fipps. My name is Jessica, and I'm joined by my friend Amy. Amy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Amy from the imaginatively named channel BookTube with Amy.
Thank you so much for being here today. Okay, so I thought for our discussion we could work through Cawpile. Have you ever heard of that rating system at all?
I have, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So it's Cawpile is set up by G at the Book Roast. Hi, Helen. So happy to see you. So Helen read with us. She also really loved the book, so I'm happy you were able to join us for our talk.
I don't think anybody who read it disliked it, in fairness.
I
It was such
know. Yeah, it really is such a good book. And I didn't know when I went into it that it was a book in verse. So that was kind of a pleasant surprise too. Okay. So what did you end up rating it overall?
I think I rated it 5. I'm sure it was 5-star.
Yeah, I think it was a
Yeah.
5-star for me too. Yep. So for Cawpile, it's usually characters, atmosphere, writing, plot, intrigue, logic, and enjoyment. So we could start by talking about characters.
Mm-hmm. I thought the characters were brilliant. Obviously, Ellie, our main character, I just thought that she was so easy to connect with right from the beginning. As soon as she was on page, I was like, right, I know this girl. I've been this girl. Like, there was just such a strong connection there for me. And then I really enjoyed all the side characters as well. And even though no of the characters were likable, I felt like they were really believable and really realistic.
Yeah, absolutely. Helen gave it 5 stars too.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I thought they were really realistic, and I definitely connected with Ellie. I thought Ellie was such an interesting person for her age. Like
Mm-hmm.
she has such like strength of character for her age. I remember at her age, like I had some issues with my parents and like my own size and that kind of thing. I don't think I ever would have had the guts to have that like upfront conversation with my mother like she had. Like that took so much strength and like bravery to have that conversation. Um, and just like the way that she had it, where she's like, well, I accept that if you don't love me, that I can live my life without you. And I was like, wow, at her age, to like acknowledge that and to work through it, like that was just incredible.
It was brilliant, and I really liked how in the beginning as well, like she had so many feelings and she didn't quite know how to express them or like what to do with what she was feeling. And so I liked that we got to see her like learn how to cope with her feelings as well, and like realizing that it's actually healthy to have conversations like that, because I think that society is very much like blood's thicker than water. And so like if you've got beef with your family, like you can't do anything about it because they're your family. Whereas actually in this, it was very much like, no, this is how I feel, and this is how I'm going to put myself first. And I like that that was reflected in such a healthy light.
Yeah. And I think some of the side characters that were important with that journey would be her neighbor, like
Mm-hmm.
Catalina, her new friend that she makes, and like how her family, she gets to experience families existing in this whole different way. And she gets to experience like just being loved and accepted by a group of people. And so it kind of shows her like this isn't necessarily normal. Like this isn't necessarily how every family is. So I thought that was a really like kind of powerful contrast for the author to make.
It definitely was, and I liked that she sort of had a relationship with her sister in the end. Like, obviously, her and her sister,
Mhm.
things were a wee bit ropey. And so I like that her sister actually took ownership for her actions and was like, I've been part of the problem here, and like I have picked on you and deflected things so that I could have a better relationship with mum. And I thought that that was really nice that they sort of came to a conclusion in the end that actually they were quite liked each other and they could have a relationship. And I thought her dad was such an interesting character as well,
Mm.
because it must have been such a difficult position for him to be in, like to see his wife treat his kid differently. It must have been so hard.
Yeah. And like such an interesting position for him to navigate both of those relationships.
Hmm.
Because I mean, he obviously loves and supports his daughter and like understands what she's going through and like just wants to protect her from the pain she's experiencing, but also realizes that the person causing her the most pain is the woman he loves. And so like it's such a difficult position to be in.
It must have been so difficult. Companion
Yeah.
novel from this perspective, please.
Yes, that's a great idea. Yeah. Helen said I could spend so long talking about her mother. Yeah, her mother was something else.
Yes.
Um, oh gosh, yeah. Let me see. Did I highlight any quotes from her? Um, oh yeah. So one of the one of the poems that I tabbed was Splash is Born, and it's the one where she talks about how she does a cannonball and like gets made fun of. And then she says like, I wish I could stand up for myself, but besides, if they even listen, they just snap back. If you don't like being teased, lose weight. I feel like that was her mom's attitude like through the whole thing, like if you don't like this, just lose weight. And trying to figure out why her mother was like that. I don't know. Do you have any ideas or thoughts on why she was like so intense on her, like her only focus on her daughter being, oh, you've got to drop weight?
I know, I wonder if it was like to do with her upbringing a bit, because I think that like, and well, I was going to say the olden days, but that makes us all sound like we're 100. Like, it wasn't as body positive, and so like if your kid was overweight, you were seen as a bad parent because you had allowed them to get to that point. And so I think like even like when I was growing up, like there was a lot of that, like the TV shows that were on TV were all about like fat families, and like there was a show called Fat Families in the UK where they went in and like,
Really?
aye, they would go in and it would be like families who were overweight, and like they would basically blame the parents because the kids were overweight, and they would do like a detox and try and get them to lose weight as a family and focus on healthy eating. And
Wow.
so when I was reading it, I was thinking like, she's quite a career woman. She's clearly focused. She's already got two kids who are on the right track. And so like there is this one thing with Ellie that she is unable to control, and so like she tries to do everything around her to try and control it, but ultimately it's up to Ellie. And so I feel like she was properly trying to push her into it, because she didn't want to be seen as a bad mum. I think that if she stopped putting that pressure on herself, then she would see actually Ellie's just a beautiful person and size is irrelevant and it doesn't directly correlate to her as a mum. But that's what I took away from that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Wow, I had no idea there was even a show like that over there. That's
Terrible. And
ugh.
that was just one of
um
so many.
yeah. I mean, we've had shows here in the US like The Biggest Loser, where it's like a weight loss competition where they get all of these people that weigh like 300 pounds. And in a certain amount of time, whoever loses the most weight at the end of the show wins a bunch of money. Um, and yeah, I like your point about it being different a while ago. My cat's eating a plant. 1 second. Carry on. That's bad for you. That's bad for you. Um, that's something that I thought about too, because like I am in my mid 30s, getting up there in the 30s, and grew up fat. And like, I feel like it was a totally different world in the in the 90s and the early 2000s than it is today when it comes to like body acceptance and body size. Like you were your body size in the 90s, and like there was such a push on, and like even in the late 90s, early 2000s, like the styles were like cut midriff tops where your stomach was showing, you had to have like a super flat stomach. And like I feel like in today's world it's not perfect, like we're not where we need to be yet, but we're starting to get into a place where there's more like body acceptance and health at every size, and like understanding that like it's not okay to treat people that way because of their size, and that like health isn't always attached to weight and all of that. And so I feel like maybe part of like Ellie, maybe part of the reason that she's able to be stronger than I ever was as a kid is because society is starting to move in a better direction too. So there's more messaging right now that like you're beautiful as you are, like you don't have to put your value of your personal worth in what your body looks like. um, Helen says it bordered on child abuse when she wouldn't buy her clothes that actually fit or kept pinning weight loss articles to the fridge. Yeah, absolutely. It was psychological abuse. And I like got so anxious when she started threatening the weight loss surgery.
I was the same.
That was terrifying. I was terrified for Ellie because, she's at the mercy of her parents' decisions. So it's like she was losing her autonomy and her agency. Like that was hard.
Definitely was. It's just crazy as well that like her mum could make that decision.
There was another moment in the book with her mother that really bugged me. I think. Oh, go ahead.
It's crazy that they were like allowed to make that decision for her. Like that was just wild to me. Like obviously I get like that your parents have like autonomy over your medical decisions until you're like a legal adult. But like that's not like a life or death situation where they need to make that decision. Like they have elected to put that surgery on her knowing that she didn't want that, which is just crazy. And the scenes in here where Ellie was trying to find a doctor that she liked as well, that wasn't just going to constantly focus on her weight. That was just, it was heartbreaking. Like, she's a kid going in to see a medical professional, and they're like, do you know what size you are? Like, well, aye, of course she does, but that's nothing to do with what she's here for. Like, going to just speak to her.
Yeah. Yeah. Heartbreaking. And that's another moment where I liked her dad. Like when he started going to those appointments with her and he was like, I had no idea they were doing this to you. I'm so sorry. Yeah. There was a point too where Ellie wanted to do something. I can't remember what it was. It was like a new hobby she wanted to pick up, or like something like that, maybe with music. And her mom was like, okay, you can do that when you lose weight. Like, oh. Yeah, just awful, 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 awful. Helen, did you have any other thoughts about her mom? You said you had a lot of them.
I know, she was a very frustrating character to read about, wasn't she?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it looks like we lost Helen. That's okay. All right. So shall we move on to atmosphere?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. What'd you think of the atmosphere?
I really liked it. Like, I felt like the atmosphere chopped and changed quite a lot depending on Ellie's mood, and I liked that it did that. And I liked it when it was the scenes where it was just like Ellie and Catalina, or it was just Ellie on her own. Like they felt so fun and so bubbly and just childlike and magical. And then when it was scenes, like specifically when it was her family and they were around the dinner table, like I felt her anxiousness through the book, and like just all the emotions came through so strongly in the book. I thought that it was brilliant, and like it could just show you like the person that Ellie could be if she had all this love, like not only for her mum but like for herself as well, and just for people not to treat her like she was absolute trash because of her weight. And then you would have like a scene where somebody was really horrible to her. And but I just thought it was done brilliantly. I really loved the feel of the book overall, and I think that although there was so much yet that was heartbreaking and could be difficult to read, it was actually still really fun and enjoyable overall because Ellie just totally kept it flowing. I thought it was done brilliantly.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Those scenes with her and Catalina, or her friend, where she's like communicating to her friend that moved away, they're joyful. Like you just feel like you feel her joy and like her just the goodness of her heart and like what a sweet, sweet person she is, and so creative and so witty. um, I like that it was set in Texas and that there is a little bit of multiculturalism in it too.
Mhm.
So, in Texas, there are large populations of Latinx people who live in Texas. And so that her neighbor was Latinx, we got to see some multiculturalism in that. Um, and that's nice to see. I always think that that's important for middle grade to have some elements of diversity in there. And, there's body diversity, obviously, but some, cultural diversity as well was nice to read.
Yep, absolutely. I
Yeah.
loved the scene where she went shopping for clothes and she went to like the store that catered for her size, and just the sheer joy she got for trying on clothes that like properly fit her, that she felt pretty in. And I was like, yes! It was like
Yeah.
montages in a rom-com where like they're doing all the try-ons. That's what it was like in my head, and I was just like so happy for her. It was brilliant to read.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, those scenes are just like pure joy. And it's so
Mhm.
interesting how like it just takes you on that roller coaster of emotions. Um, the scenes with her therapist are really interesting too because she did such a good like her therapist was amazing and
Mhm.
did such a good job of just like relating to Elliot where she is, not letting her get away with saying what she knew the therapist wanted to hear and like actually working through those emotions in a way that felt very real.
Mhm.
And not cheesy or campy or anything like that, but in a way that feels like, yeah, that is how someone might actually process that situation.
I totally agree. And our therapist was just she did a great job, just being like, "Your mum is a terrible person." Like, she just kept, like, all the
Yeah.
emotions, which must be so difficult, but, like, just made sure that Ellie felt reassured in all her feelings and that she wasn't just putting it down to, like, her mum being horrible or feeling like anything was disregarded. And it was so great to just see therapy, like, shown in such a positive light in this book. It was something that I really enjoyed because in books sometimes it can be mentioned, but like then you never actually get to see what that process looks like for a character. And I liked that in this we did get to see that with Ellie, and then I think we got to see like how much of an impact that actually made on her as well. So that was a brilliant wee journey to go on. I feel like there was so much in this book for it being so short. Like
I know. Yeah, and that kind of takes us into the writing. It blew my mind that she, like you said, she was able to pack so much into a short book. And not only was it a short book, but it was a book in verse, which
mhm.
makes it like even shorter. And I'm always so impressed when someone who can write a book in verse where like each poem can stand on its own, but then it also ties into the larger story so well. Absolutely loved it.
I was the same. I just thought that the writing was brilliant and so emotive. Like there were points in this book where I had tears, and it was either for laughter or sadness. But it was just phenomenal, and everything came across so brilliantly. Like I got exactly how Ellie was feeling. I could get like how she was feeling at school, like versus being at home when she was with her friends' family, and it was just written so wonderfully. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I liked that, the main focus was Ellie, but we also got a pretty good look at the other characters too. Like everyone
Mhm.
felt pretty well rounded. Like nothing was surface level, which could have been easy to fall into with it being short and in verse. but it wasn't. Like everyone felt real, everyone felt full. The scenes felt real, like we could picture everything that was going on in the setting, and the actions that occurred or the dialogue that happened all felt natural. So, I mean, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Plot. Thoughts on plot?
I really liked the plot, and I thought it was really good that by the end of it, like, we never really got a huge resolution with Ellie and her mum, like, and it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
that, everything was going to be fine now and she was never going to give her a hard time. It was that Ellie knew how to deal with it when she did, like, and that Ellie knew she didn't need to put up with it, and so she was in a better place, even if she didn't have that resolution with her mum, which I liked. And I liked that, like,
Mm-hmm.
her mum was like, "Of course I love you, like, it's never been about that." Like, I liked that we had that, um, and I really enjoyed that Ellie learned to sort of feel love herself, no, in spite of her weight, like that her weight was irrelevant. She just learned to be more comfortable and more accepting as to who she was. And because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like a lot of books that try to do plus size rep, it'll be like, oh, and in the end, like, I like wasn't about her size and blah blah blah. Like, and it's no about loving yourself in spite of your weight. Like, that's no the message we want to be sending. The
Yeah.
message is that you love yourself and your weight is irrelevant. Love yourself because you've put a nice outfit together the day and you think you look good in it. Love yourself because you wrote a brilliant essay or you've had a really good day at work. Like, love yourself for all the reasons and no because of
Yeah.
your weight. And I thought it was done so brilliantly that this was accessible for kids because it is a middle grade, but also as an
Mhm.
adult, that I was just like, wow, what a great message. Like, I took away stuff for this book.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, so I think that Ellie goes on a bit of a hero's journey, which, if you're familiar with it, I don't know if all the viewers are, but basically the hero's journey is where like you start in a certain spot and then you leave that place, wherever that place is, and you face a challenge. You overcome the challenge and learn from it, and then you take what you learn back to where you started. And in the book, she starts out like in the first chapter in where both experiences in the pool are different because in the first
Mhm.
scene, you see Ellie before she's gone through her journey. And then in the final one in the pool, like she's a different person in that pool. Like she's fully, embracing herself and her fullness. And um, I thought that was really smart, like a really smart way to write this kind of story, because I think sometimes when we're focusing on like a social issue like this, it can be where it's like personal growth, it's more character based, more based on the characters, like emotional growth, be a bit meandering. Um, but this one had a really clear like beginning, climax, middle, and end,
Mhm.
which was really good. And I like your point about it being a little open ended with her mother, because then that felt real. You're
Mhm.
not going to get closure with everybody. So,
I liked
yeah.
that it had like the different fat girl rules throughout it as well, because
Hmm.
like how many people have done that, like, without even thinking about it? Like, if you go shopping and you're looking at clothes, you're like, "Oh, well, I couldn't wear that because 'cause I'm bigger." Aye,
Yep.
you can. Like, or,
Yep.
"Oh, no, I wouldn't really want to do that because, like, I'd go," like, no, like, that was so brilliant. That was, like, a huge moment of realization for me that I also have fat girl rules that, like, I didn't even know was a thing. Like,
Hmm.
it's so brilliant that I was like, actually, I've held myself back for doing things because of my size, like, and they are
Hmm.
my fat girl rules. Like, I didn't realise I did that. And so I like that they were put through it as well. And I wonder how many other people have read this who have had similar realizations because that was so interesting for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely really realized even like sometimes just the way I sit or
Mhm.
like the way I hold my face, my double chin doesn't show, like just those little things like that's a fat girl rule. And like I don't have to do that. Yeah, that was so powerful.
It was so good.
I do think that this book, and I mentioned it in a wrap-up video about middle grade in general being so powerful for adults because I think it can really offer us a chance for healing. Like as I was reading this book, I found like a lot of my own traumas felt like I was healing in reading her story. Like I never got to have that closure with my mom or have that confrontation with my mom, but getting to experience it through Ellie was like a healing process for me. So I just think middle grade can be so powerful for adults in that way. And this one certainly was for me.
Yeah, it was for me as well, and I think because as a middle grade, like, it has almost, like, such a sense of hope and magic that reading it as an
Mm-hmm.
adult, you're like, "Oh, actually, like, I can do this and, like, I can move on for this and, like, I can just let that go," and it's just done brilliantly, and I've never really experienced that with any books that were YA or adult. It has only ever really been middle grade that's gave me that sense of, like, positivity, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. um, so kind of covered or logic basically when we talk about plot, but enjoyment I think is where we're at with Compile. I think we both really enjoyed this.
I absolutely did. Absolutely did.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually difficult for me to just read it all at once. Like I would read like a set amount of pages and I'd be like, right, I'm going to put it down because it could have just been so easy to have binged it and read it all at once. It was just that brilliant. But I wanted to really just let it sit with me and like think about it a wee bit before I went into the
Yeah.
next bit. But I so enjoyed this book. Like, and I think for it being so powerful and like some stuff making you feel like, oh, that's horrible, and feeling a bit anxious for Ellie and
Mm,
dealing with some trickier subjects, it still just came away feeling so light and lovely and hopeful. I just
yeah.
thought it was brilliantly handled.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I agree with you. I did want to sit and just read through it in like in one sitting, but I did stop at certain parts and just have to think and like tab it and reread certain things and like think about things again. And even after reading it, like we're like a month out after reading it, and I'm still coming back to it and like just reading one of the poems here and there and thinking about it or thinking about certain relationships in the book and how they were represented, or even just some of the language that's used in the book and like catching myself in using certain language that maybe I should or shouldn't use. And I mean, yeah, it definitely had a big impact on me and just, yeah, very much enjoyed it. I don't know if Lisa Fipps has written anything else. I'm going to look. So I'd
I would
definitely be interested
stuff
in reading more.
I
Um,
would as well. I thought it was brilliant.
any other final thoughts?
I think I liked that it handled the subject of bullying as well. And again, like
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like the school came in and fixed that or her parents got
Mm-hmm.
involved or like obviously her dad wasn't aware as to how far the bullying was going. But I like
Mm-hmm.
that and like it was her friend coming and sticking up for her as well. And that it was handled sort of amongst the kids. I sort of feel like that because I think that if you were a kid who was getting bullied, like maybe this would give you that wee push to stick up for yourself a wee bit. Obviously, like
Um,
if it's going too far, like of course you would get your parents and your school
right.
involved. I just liked that it was Ellie and her friend and they were just like sticking up for each other and being like, no,
Mhm.
can you treat me like this? Like that's not happening, blah blah blah. I really liked that. And I loved their wee dog.
Yes. Oh, he was so cute.
I loved that she just had a wee animal companion to like love and snuggle.
Uh-huh. I think that definitely added to like the joy component of the story and the whimsy, having the
Definitely.
animal. It was interesting too to see her make a new friend because her in the beginning her best friend moves away.
Mhm.
And so she's sort of left alone and she's got to like now navigate all this stuff by herself and like she makes a new friend pretty early on, but you can see her um be slow to trust Catalina at first
Yep.
and be like, okay, is she saying this because she's making fun of my weight? Like, can I really trust her? And watching that friendship develop was a really sweet thing too.
I agree. I really liked, obviously, initially she was like, oh my god, has like someday one of the popular girls for school put her up to pretending to be my friend so that when I go back, like I'll be absolutely crushed to them just having like a really lovely, genuine friendship. And I
Hmm.
think that Catalina had similar reservations going into that friendship as well because she's obviously suffered bullying and things like that for her race instead of it being her
Yeah.
weight. So I liked that they had sort of came together and we got to just see them become fast friends. And like that
Hmm.
moment as well where Catalina's like sort of hinting about going into the pool and Ellie's like, do you want to come? She's like, oh, I thought you'd never ask. And I was like, oh, they're going to be besties. I was just so happy.
Yeah. And I absolutely love the image of her jumping on the trampoline as she's like talking to her. I was like, that is the cutest thing ever. Like, oh my gosh, it was so adorable.
I really liked as well, like Catalina's family in it, and when Ellie goes to spend some time with them, and they like show her a totally different relationship with food, where like we
Mhm.
can see that food is like a family activity, and it can be wholesome, and like you
Yeah.
know are feeding you because they love you, and I thought that that was important as well because a lot of people do link like being overweight to having a bad relationship with food, like
Yeah.
or like thinking that you are unhealthy when actually that's not always the case. And I think that like as somebody who is overweight, you can trick yourself into thinking you have a bad relationship with food when actually like
Mhm.
that's not always the reason like why you're overweight.
Mhm.
Like so I thought it was done really well that we got to see that more positive relationship with food as well. And it will be focused
Mhm.
on your weight, like food is nourishment. We need food like, and that is a good thing. And so I really like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a contrast to what dinners at home for her are like, where her
Mhm.
mom's like dishing out her portions and watching what she eats and hiding her candy, getting upset if she finds a candy wrapper anywhere and that kind of thing. And just like the complete opposite with Catalina's family, where they're like, eat, you're hungry, eat whatever you want. Like, it's fine. You need that. Like, you're growing. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, just that contrast with her family. And I like the sibling relationships in Catalina's family too,
Mhm.
where they actually love and support each other. And like the older brother's so nice to Ellie. And it's just like has no issues with just being like, yeah, you're one of us now.
I know that's it.
Yeah.
Again, an interesting parallel between Catalina and her relationship with her siblings and Ellie and her relationship with her siblings as well. And then you wonder like how much of her relationship with her siblings have been fostered by this high pressure environment that's came for their mum.
Mhm.
There's so
Yeah,
many
absolutely.
layers in here that you can
Yeah.
just like pick back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's so much. Oh my gosh. Um, So I looked, Elisa does not have any other books out yet, but hopefully she'll write more.
Yeah, definitely she should.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I think that covers it pretty well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that stood out to me that we haven't covered yet. Let me look at my tabs. Yeah, no, I think that covered everything that I had noted. Did you have anything else?
Just that I felt it was really accurate, like as to what it
Mhm.
can grow up bigger. Like I think
Mm,
that
yeah,
people feel like they need to point out to you, and it's like I live in my body. Like I am very
right.
aware, more aware than you. Like you don't
Yeah,
need to tell me.
yeah,
I think as well, like all the side characters, as much as we got to know them, we didn't see a lot of them bothering to get to know Ellie, and the only thing that they knew about her was that she was fat. And
yeah,
I just think that was so honest and so accurate as to
yeah.
what it can be like. And I just think that if anybody who has never suffered with any body issues or weight issues, if they wanted to know what that's like, that this is the book to read.
Yeah.
It was just done so brilliantly, and I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever seen another example of it being done as well as this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have, and I don't think I have, like, not even in like adult literature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just depicts the fat experience so well, like the whole
Yeah.
spectrum of it. Um, the doctors, the bullying, the, people just seeing you and saying, "Oh, you're just fat," and not seeing beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I really liked about her counselor was she really honed in on the, like, you're so creative, you're so smart, you're a brilliant writer, and like really pointing out those things to her that, like, you're not defined by your body, like you are all these amazing things, and thought that was just so lovely. And like, we all need a person like that in our lives.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Well, it's been about 40 minutes, so I think we can probably wrap it up here. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up on your channel. Anything exciting? You're doing a readathon. Tell us about your readathon.
Yes. So we're doing me and Jem, because James are doing a supernatural themed readathon. Um, I mean, doesn't need said, but Supernatural's amazing. And so we thought we would do a character-based read along. And so it's just a bingo board, and all the prompts are very open-ended. We've got a Twitter, Wayward Sunathon, if anybody wants to check it out and take part. And it's going to be running for a week in September. And it's just prompts based on characters. So that's going to be cool.
Excellent.
Yes, I've just read a couple of cozy mysteries though, so that's going to be my
Oh,
next episode to try that trope, where I'm trying out some different cozy mysteries as well, which will be fun.
oh, that's excellent. Yeah, love cozy mysteries. So I'm excited to see that video for
I know
sure.
I've really been getting into them this year.
Yeah, awesome. Well, the next book that we're reading for the Middle Grade Appreciation Societies is The Marvelers. I just have the book jacket here. The Marvelers by Danielle Clayton. And it is about a magical school where kids practice magic, and I don't really know much more about it. I'm starting it this week, a little late in the game. That's okay. So that's the next book that we will discuss if anybody wants to join us for that. I am working on getting my guest host together for that live show. So, Amy, thank you so very much for being my guest for this show. It was a great discussion and a great book, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting. It was brilliant and such a great pick, honestly. One of the best books I've read this year.
Yes, yeah, same here. Fantastic. All right. Well, have a wonderful rest of your day,
Thank
and
you.
we'll see you in your next video.
Bye.
Bye.